They say that the eyes are a window into the soul. Michael Corleone is a man of few words. If you were to only read the dialogue in the script of The Godfather Part 2, you might get a sense of who he is or what he might be angling at, but it's not Michael's words that define his character. In fact, it's often what he doesn't say, it's the look he gives you. Michael doesn't glance, he stares. Unlike most people who would look away out of embarrassment, when his eyes are on you, you will feel it. He isn't looking at you either. He's looking into you, looking for what you don't want him to find. He reads you. Throughout The Godfather Part 2, Coppola chooses to shoot Al Pacino up close. We spend a lot of the movie simply watching a man viewing his surroundings, inspecting people up close, witnessing his relationships crumble around him with a cold detachment. The Godfather Part 1 was about power changing hands in a family within an empire and going to war. The killings are more iconic and flashy, more of an introduction to violence for the characters and the audience. But in Part 2, now it's a way of life. Michael is not openly charismatic or expressive, as a man who is easy to understand is a man easy to defeat. He only speaks behind closed doors to the few who need to hear it, but his presence is felt in any room he walks into, inspiring fear in both those close to him and those who have never met him. Because as they say in court, it is not Michael who is going to directly do anything. The order just trickles down a chain of command. There's always a buffer in place. The weight of his presence is his power to inflict death with so much as a nod or a look. Alfred Hitchcock once said, "If it's a good movie, the sound could go off and the audience would still have a perfectly clear idea of what's going on." So let's examine Al Pacino's enigmatic performance as Michael Corleone and how he communicates everything through his eyes rather than his words, staring into the souls of those around him while gradually losing his own. There are 3 key ways that Michael uses eye contact: to investigate, to intimidate, and to manipulate. The story only really starts after an assassination attempt in Michael's bedroom. Michael's eyes are the only thing that saves him, spotting the shooters a split second before they open fire. From here, it's clear that Michael needs to keep his eyes open at all times. He begins to investigate those around him, aware that there must be at least one person close to him that has betrayed his family.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
He starts by visiting his soon-to-be business partner, Hyman Roth, an old friend of his father's, followed by Frank Pentageli, an old family friend who he had a disagreement with the night of the shooting. He tells both men that he thinks the other organized the shooting to test their reactions up close. He asks Roth how he would feel if Frank were a dead man, and he doesn't seem fazed at all. Even when Roth breaks eye contact and looks away, Michael continues to stare. Whereas with Frank, he starts off with an emotional outburst, while maintaining eye contact at all times.
In my home! In my bedroom where my wife sleeps!
When Michael tells Frank he knows Roth organized the shooting, Frank suggests they take action and kill them all. This loyal reaction impresses Michael. He reflects on the childhood memories he has in this very room, but remains vigilant, looking out the window. When Michael is investigating with his eyes, he never blinks as he's searching for the truth. Even when he has lunch with his brother Fredo, Fredo tries to be casual and sometimes struggles to meet his gaze.
Why didn't we spend time like this before?
But Michael keeps his eyes firmly on him, no matter what, even behind fake smiles. Michael's eye contact is also designed to intimidate. He doesn't need to pick up a gun or threaten you, just the very suspicion that you have disappointed him could be enough to trigger the order. Like when Connie tells Michael that she wants money to remarry, Michael refuses to even look at her fiancée Merle, acting as if he doesn't exist to emphasize that he has no power here. Connie holds eye contact and doesn't break, so Michael adds a layer of intimidation to the scene by saying,
"You disappoint me."
When Senator Geary arrogantly negotiates with Michael, he goes as far as to disparage Italian immigrants.
"I don't like your kind of people."
And the shot swiftly changes from Michael being relaxed in a mid-shot into a close-up, where Michael now looks directly at Geary. This longing stare communicates, "I see you for who you really are. I welcome you to see me for who I truly am too, and make the smart choice and see things my way from now on." But Michael also uses this to manipulate. His cold, dark gaze is so feared that when he accompanies it with words, it's hypnotic. He pulls you into his eyes and coerces you. He offers you something you want in exchange for something he needs. For example, before giving Tom responsibility of the lives of his wife and children, he calls him his brother, fully aware that Tom has always wanted to be considered a real brother.
Always wanted to be thought of as a brother by you, Mikey, a real brother.
So let's take a look at Michael's relationship with three characters: Frank Pentageli, his wife Kay, and his brother Fredo, and how he uses investigation, intimidation, and manipulation purely through his eyes throughout the story. When Frank is about to testify against Michael in court, so much happens with eye contact in just 10 seconds. And these 10 seconds change everything. It changes Frank's fate as well as Michael's future. It happens in 4 shots. Frank spots his brother stares at Frank, Michael looks back to Frank, and Frank registers the message. Everything is communicated without a word spoken. Frank is betraying his own blood by betraying the Corleones, and by betraying their blood, his family's blood will be spilled too. Michael just lingers in the background in this wide shot. There is no close-up, but the audience still instinctively looks solely at Michael, because Michael is the only one that matters. After the shooting in their bedroom, Michael paces the room, but Kay won't look at him. She's hiding herself from him. Eye contact is something he has to earn back from her. She's no longer looking to him for safety or into him for love. She sees him as the threat now. From this glance on, a distance grows between them. Michael is away in Cuba, focused on business, only discovering Kay lost the baby when he returns. But it's not until later that Michael tries to truly see his wife again, to connect with her eye to eye, and that's when she's already leaving him. He gawks at her to intimidate her. As she questions him about his business, Michael's eyes darken. There's an emptiness behind them, resentment. She informs him she's leaving and taking the kids. The mere mention of his children causes Michael's eyes to flare with rage. He tries every trick in the book to change her mind: lies, intimidation, manipulation, even feigning soft understanding, as he attempts to dismiss all of her feelings as an emotional reaction to her miscarriage. And that's when she reveals the truth.
Oh, Michael. Michael, you are blind.
For the first time, Michael, who has seen everything ahead of time, sniffing out rats, eliminating competition, surviving, failed to see something right under his nose. But this is another level of betrayal when he finds out Kay terminated the pregnancy. And now his eyes change. Now he sees her in a way that he never wanted to see his own wife. Echoing the end of the first movie, where the door closes on Kay, shutting her out of the family business, this time he looks her right in the eye as he approaches, before now shutting her out of the family for good. In just 4 looks, the story of their marriage is clear. When it comes to Fredo, Michael has always thought of him as weak, foolish, and naive, but he didn't expect to discover this side to him. After their lunch, Michael was uncertain. Then later, he clocks a lie from afar when Johnny Ola meets Fredo, allegedly for the first time. It's very quick, but without saying anything. We see Michael register something suspicious. Then later, when Fredo is drunk, he lets it slip that Johnny Ola brought him to this club before, and Michael realizes that Fredo is the rat, that he and Johnny Ola and Roth have conspired before. Again, no words spoken, but Pacino releases a flood of emotions all at once, the implications of knowing it's his own brother and what that will mean for the family. In the midst of all of this, he gives a tiny nod to Bossetta, such a small gesture, but that one gesture is the go-ahead for killing Johnny Ola. And when Michael confronts Fredo at midnight, he doesn't just look at him, he aggressively grips his neck and forces the eye contact. Everything about his body language spells violence. Later, as Michael listens to Fredo's justifications for why he betrayed him, he doesn't even look at him.
It ain't the way I wanted it! I'm smart and I want respect!
Once Fredo starts to unload, Michael turns his head and sees Fredo from a new perspective. He then looks down at him as he ends their relationship for good.
You're nothing to me now.
After the death of his mother, Michael's eyes look tired. He can barely look up, no willingness to connect. His soul is missing. Connie pleads with him to show humanity and forgive Fredo. So he hugs Fredo in front of the family as if he's welcomed back in and forgiven. But as he does so, he simply looks at Al. And a look is all it takes for us to know what's happening. Later, as Fredo is taken out fishing, Michael watches from the house. His omniscient presence is in itself a threat of violence, whether it be in a courtroom or his own home. The power of his office, the power of his position, hovers over everything. Al Pacino delivered one of the greatest performances of all time, with just subtle variations of looks. He doesn't have to say a word, because you can tell what he's thinking. By the end of the movie, Michael rubs his eyes with exhaustion, as if he's seen too much. He's seen betrayals in his business, betrayals in his family, betrayals in his marriage. He's lost his mother, he killed his brother, and he'll never get to meet his next son. And now he's haunted with the horrors of who he's become. Isolated and paranoid, but alive. Throughout the over 3-hour running time, Michael is always looking into the soul of everyone else, until he's left alone and forced to look inward. And one has to wonder if Michael Corleone could meet Michael Corleone and look into his eyes. What would he see? Well, you've made it this far, so you might as well like, comment, and subscribe to help get this channel to the next level.